Hello and welcome to Warframe. My name's Todd, also known as MajorMech, and this is of course Warframe. Last time we left off starting the second dream and kind of working our way through it. Since then there has been a major update aside from the Nightwave. It seems they're doing lots and lots of things to Warframe, of course. It's always nice to come back and see that there's stuff going on. You can see that my navigation is almost extended through my screen, my like windshield there. Um, Effectively, the major update that happened was the Operation Buried Debts update, which included the Melee Phase 1 reworks, or the beginning of the Melee reworks. Um, so Melee is now a lot more fluid, and I'll try and show that off if I'm able to when I jump into a mission. There's also new events that happened, or are happening, I should say, that involve the Orb Valis. So if you wanted to get in on that, the Razorback Armada is also here for the weekend. So if you wanted to get in on that as well, that's cool. They did update navigation with the Nightwave information, plus they also updated it with world cycles. So those are kind of useful if you're trying to gather stuff in the Orb Valis or the Plains of Eidolon, so you can tell what time it is and kind of be on top of that sort of stuff. There was no major updates to the Nightwave kind of system, so that's pretty much all the same. There was no major updates aside from the Melee rework. I can't, of course, show it off in here, but the one thing I will state is that if you had a stance previously, the combos for using said stance still work the same. Okay, I will talk a little bit about Operation Buried Debts and the Thermia Fractures, but I'm not going to go do them at this moment because we do have to continue with the second dream and kind of hopefully finish that this time around. Plus, that's level 50 content, so if you're not ready for level 50 content, note that the Thermia Fractures is kind of out of your reach for the time being. It's all level 50 enemies, and it's a defense style mission, so you can't just bypass them. The Operation Buried Debts is just find and scan stuff on the Orb Valis, though. So, with the new update to the screen, we've got the Razorback Armada, of course, the Buried Debts data hashes in the Orb Valis, so all you have to do is you have to find those and you have to scan them the same way you would anything else that you'd scan in your with your Codex scanner or Samaris scanner. The Thermia Fractures are effectively defense-style missions. In the Orb Valis, there are now fractures in the ground, which are like orange glowing areas. They look kind of like gas vents, so they're like orange yellowish. They've got like gas coming out of them, and effectively to start a Thermia Fracture you kill a coolant arachnoid, which I've heard they kind of spawn randomly around the Orb Valis, but if you kill one, it will drop a coolant cell, which you'll then be able to put into fractures and effectively close the fractures. As you close fractures, which are defense-style missions, effectively you'll put the coolant cell into the fracture, it'll begin the defense, you have to protect the cell as you're fighting the enemies. As you defend said cells and you complete objectives, if you close 5 fractures, you get the Buried Debts emblem. 25, you get the Amalgam mods, or 2 of the Amalgam mods. 50, you get 2 more Amalgam mods. 75, you get a sigil, and 100, you get the Opticore Vandal. Should be noted that these Amalgam mods were shown off in a dev showcase stream previously. They're similar to the mods that they are listed as, so Amalgam Shotgun Spaz would be very similar to Shotgun Spaz, and Amalgam Serration will be very similar to Serration. They effectively trade a little bit of the main capability of that mod for another capability, so one of them might increase movement speed or something to that effect, aside from just being a Serration mod or a Shotgun Spaz mod. I don't know their specific effects, so you'd have to look them up if you wanted to know. I'm sure they're being linked in general or region chat. So if you really wanted to know, you could also, I'm sure, ask in region chat to see what they are, if somebody could link them. I'm sure somebody would be willing to oblige you. It is also a double affinity weekend, I believe it is, so that's kind of nice. But regardless, we have other objectives aside from the Thermia Fractures and Buried Debts, so we're going to jump straight into those, or into that. Should also be noted, I guess Barraketeer did arrive this weekend. I don't know what his stock is at the moment, but I'm sure I'll check it later, as I would hope you guys would as well if you're interested. But let's just follow the stalker to where he was going. Because we gotta put an end to his shenanigans. And kind of deal with him trying to find our reservoir. Let's see. So the update for the new melee reworks, I do have to state, make them much more fluid, and I kind of can't wait to show those off because I really enjoy the way they are at the moment. I hope they continue to make them more fluid and easy to use in the future.
When you connected to Hunhouse Fragment, Hunhouse saw a path to the reservoir that led through here. He cannot reach it alone. He needs the Stalker to do it for him.
So, effectively with the melee reworks, now the major thing is you never have to switch to your melee weapon. If you press your melee ability, you can effectively just use your melee weapon. And that's the way melee works now. The major downside to this being that it removes quick melee attacks. This isn't necessarily a major problem for certain weapons, but for polearms this is kind of a problem.
Alid, what's in this for you? It's simple, really. I scratch your metal back, and you scratch mine. All the credits in the system aren't worth half as much as a tenno owing you a favor.
Another thing to note is you can switch right back to your effectively your weapons by just pressing right or left click. You might notice that that would remove certain combos and certain weapons, or of the stances for melee weapons, if you have any of those. Note, if you're pressing your melee key and you press the buttons to activate those stances, it will effectively be the same as if you were performing those stances. So don't think that you can't perform stances anymore, you still can. It's just you have to be effectively actively mashing your melee key, which kind of makes some problems for some things, not for all things. Let's see. Is there any, aside from that, the other major change to melee that they made is that you can now use directed ground slam attacks. So previously ground slam attacks would effectively just make you go straight down. Now ground slam attacks can actually kind of go in a direction that you choose. So we can go over there, we can even like turn ourselves around if we wanted to, and kind of move it around. This is super useful for trying to get on top of enemies, and even for just movement in general, it's actually quite useful. Timed well with a good bullet jump, you could actually be extremely effectively quick with that. So overall, I like these changes a lot. I tried to use the ground slam attack right there, but I'm still getting used to it as it's still so brand new, as I'm sure a lot of veterans are. There is kind of like a threshold for how far away you can ground slam, which I'm not sure if I kind of 100% agree with, but I do understand it. It can't be super overpowered. But I would like...
A void gate. These things never made sense to me. You're smart, Tenno. You'll figure out how to open it again, won't you?
This needle pierces the sky. Not how will we find the Tenno heart within? These puppets will not stop me. I will attack in many forms.
Alright, so this is our first encounter with a sentient enemy.
Impressive. These sentient fighters appear to adapt to damage. I'd love to crack one open and see what makes it tick.
The sentient has adapted to your damage. Surprise them with something new.
Be aware that sentients adapt to damage, effectively meaning that your damage types become less and less effective the more you use them. Later on, we'll get something better to deal with that, but for now, it's best to carry a weapon that has a different damage type.
Incredible. The Stalker has built void keys. Use this one to reopen the portal before more sentient fighters come. The void is poison to them.
Than the previous
Cross the
weapon you're
threshold.
using.
Go now. The sentients cannot follow.
Oh, don't you just hate that feeling? Makes my stomach flip. Let's see where you've landed. Find a nav console.
It should also be noted that with sentience, if you have a sufficiently strong weapon, such as a sniper rifle, shotgun, or something that just does a lot of damage, you can overwhelm sentience even through their damage resistance. But that is the last-ditch effort. That should be kind of considered as your last option. As I stated later on, we'll get something that will help us deal with sentience more effectively. But that is not right now. For now, we just gotta deal with corrupted, thankfully, no more sentience. At least not for the moment. Alright.
Sweet prophet, the moon exists. It was in the void all along. I knew the Lotus was powerful, but she erased history. We thought it was destroyed all this time. Huh. My, Lotus, you make a fine villain.
And the reservoir with it. Very clever, Nata. Shadow, your path is clear.
Hunhouse found it. The reservoir, hidden in the void. A place sentience can never reach. We must do everything to keep it there. It's the only way to keep the Tenno's power alive.
Found the reservoir? As unpleasant as our past is, I have to ask. I've seen inside a Tenno, yes, and what I found didn't make sense. Does this reservoir conceal some great deception?
Everything I have done was done to protect them. The void is forbidden to the sentients. It's our only protection against them destroying the Tenno. Do not let Alad distract you from your mission.
Oh, they don't know the truth either, do they? How sweet. The betrayers get what they deserve. Lies from their omnipotent mother.
I have detected a ship leaving the tower. It's the Stalker. He's on his way to the moon. You need to find a way to get off this tower and onto the moon.
So, another thing you might have noticed as well with this update is the animations for weapons also changed. Well, I shouldn't say the animations changed, but the graphical effects of those animations changed. The actual attacks themselves are the same. You might also notice that our Rhino is a lot more iron than he used to be, which I kind of like. I kind of like the update to the iron skin effect. I think it looks a lot better than it used to. But that's just personal opinion. Let's just orthos this guy if we're able to. Nice. So the Stalker is after something on the moon, and when they refer to the moon, of course, they are referring to Earth's moon, not any other moon, which is kind of ironic in its own way because we've been to many other planets.
It seems to me that this tower is dedicated to masking the moon's location in the void, yes. Why not disable the mask so that claptrap orders can pick them up? Or is that too complicated for you?
And so we are disabling the mask that hides the moon in the void.
That's it, Tenno. Shut down this power grid so that your mouthpiece orders can lock onto your location in the void.
Keep talking, Orokin called Alad V. Your silence soon comes.
And, Hunhow is not entirely incorrect in that assertion. Let's see, who do we have to kill? More specifically,
Come
what?
now, Tenno. Even a child could figure this system out.
Destroy the tubes, move through. Shouldn't be too impossibly hard. Just gotta find the ones that are open. Is it the one on the other side? Yes. Don't get trapped in those electrical grids if you're able to. They do a lot of damage. Let's see. Roll through here, and that one. We're good to go.
You did it. The void mask is crumbling.
Operator, how did you get through to me? Don't worry, Otis is on his way now, preparing for extraction.
The sky will be as it was meant. The shadow returns the moon. The reservoir swells with Tenno blood. The old war finally ends.
Lots of talk of many different things that happened in the past, and they will become more clear as we progress through these quests, but for now, that's all we can do. Let's see. I don't think there's anything major that I need to talk about other than the fact that the void mask that was hiding the moon is now gone. We can now access the moon. Though, that may not be a good thing.
The moon. Somehow, Ordis actually remembers the last time I was here. Concern for the operator is at critical levels.
The suspense is killing me. Lotus, you have to tell us your secret. Hey, don't cut me off.
Within the moon lies the reservoir, the secret to your Tenno power. But the secret is dangerous. It drove the Stalker to madness. Forgive my deception. I was only trying to protect you from the same fate. Now, it is time to protect yourselves by ensuring the moon remains within the safety of the void.
And so we will do just that. The moon is now unlocked to us. If you previously saw any items that were only available on Lua or the moon, this is where they are. There will be more, of course, areas unlocked to us through quests, so it is definitely worthwhile to do quests because they're the only way to unlock certain things. The moon being first and foremost. The moon is a great place to farm certain mods and items, so just be aware of that. Especially the Spy on the Moon. There is a very valuable mod known as Blood Rush that you can get from that. Aside from that, I honestly love the aesthetic of the moon. You can tell the moon was once great, but now seems to have
The
fallen.
Stalker is heading toward the void control room. Track the...
Collapse the void, Shadow, so that my fragments may attack. The Tenno hearts will beat their last.
No! If the void is collapsed, the reservoir will be destroyed, and you and the rest of the Tenno will be lost. Get to the void control room and stop the Stalker.
And we will do just that. These minions that we are fighting here are they look like infested, but they're shadow minions. They don't function the exact same. Mainly their looks, though, are different. You can avoid them for the most part. They aren't going to really pose too much of a threat to us because they're infested. Style enemies. Mostly melee, that is. Alright. So we're going to rush through. Sometimes I like to just take in the aesthetic of the moon. The moon is definitely a very interesting place, and especially the first time you come here, it's really pretty. Oh, this is a test chamber, I believe. On the moon there are specific rooms which I would want to show off, but I don't think I'm able to. At least not in this current mission. That there are rooms that you can effectively do tests in, Orokin tests, which allow you to access certain mods to increase your Warframe's capabilities. If I run across any of those at any point in the future, I will definitely try to do them to the best of my ability. But that's no guarantee that I will be able to do them.
I didn't want to have to do this, but the collapse is imminent. If the reservoir is to survive, we need to pull the moon out of the void. Here, help me disrupt the void compasses to reorient the moon.
So we will do just that. The moon exits the void. If you thought he wasn't going to show up, then don't worry, the Stalker is most certainly here.
There are 3 void compasses that steer the moon within the void. I will disconnect them from the central system to gain control. Supply them with power from your shields while I finish my task.
Easy enough for the Lotus to say.
You trust this Orokin blood? would chisel weapons from our bones.
The next compass needs power.
This part of this mission here is quite difficult as the stalker is chasing you pretty much consistently, and you do have to fuel up these cells to kind of unlock them. Just note that
Another compass needs your
this is one of the few times where the stalker won't pull you directly towards him. He'll kind of knock you down if you're too far away, but he won't pull you towards him. So it's pretty easy to just kind of leave him behind. The smaller enemies are more of a threat, honestly, because if you get stuck on one of them...
You cannot stop the inevitable.
The void compasses are all disrupted, but there is one more step. Get to the pendula. Hurry.
What was that?
Oregon, the noise you make will cease now, and forever.
Uh-oh, Hunhouse found me. Sorry I can't stick around to see how this all ends, but I've got to save my own skin. Don't forget our deal, Lotus.
And so the
These
deal's
pendula
made.
keep the moon stable in the void. Power them down.
So we can power these pendula down
Security eye. Watch out.
with security eye, ironically. So the security eye will fire an attack at us. We kind of have to wait for it to come out.
The security eye just destroyed a pendula. Try and trick it into taking out the rest.
Effectively, we need to let it fire at us, and when it fires at you, hide behind a pillar. That will effectively allow you to destroy the pillar. So about there is when you want to let it kind of strike at you.
That's
There we
it.
go.
The eye is taking out the pendula. Keep it up.
Every time it does such a thing, you want to be aware that it will use one of its more damaging attacks, such as this attack, which will try and pull you towards it, or the bombardment attack, which is kind of an annoyance. Let's see. This bombardment attack is just more annoying than anything. If you stand behind one of the pendula, it can't really hit you. We want to stand behind this pillar so the eye kind of comes towards us. This kind of just gets a little bit tedious if you've dealt with it before. Not super hard or anything. You can use these little platforms if you need to, and kind of just jump out of the way, similar to that. The other way I showed you is also possible to deal with the pendula, so you just kind of stand behind them. Overall, not super hard to deal with this. It's just the first time you see it, you might be like, what the hell even is any of this? Oh, you don't want to stand in front of those the projectiles because they
It's
will
done.
break upon you.
The moon is falling out of the void. Hold on. This will not be a smooth ride. Get to extraction as quickly as possible.
What they need, Margulis, is to be destroyed. They're devils from that hell, not human anymore.
No, Palace, no more destruction. We could heal them. Maybe they're meant to save us.
How can you defend these devils, Margulis, after what they've done to you?
Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind. They won't hurt anyone. I just need more time.
Hush, my wilted love. I cannot protect you. Tomorrow you must renounce before the sun.
The moon is a place of memories, and we are definitely hearing some memories right there. Again, a lot more of this stuff will make sense if you've seen the future quests and the like. Those two individuals, though, will be very important in the future. Margulis which was mentioned previously to be the Lotus's name, and Ballas, a new individual who was who's Margulis's lover, at least by what we heard.
The moon is back in normal space, but the reservoir is in more danger than ever. Hunhao will send his fighters, and the Stalker is still coming for you. Move now.
I thought that was a part of the quest, but it was just
a sound to a vision, pulling up and
Nora Knight over there talking.
hello dream.
Um, you can definitely tell that new updates are coming, by the way, because a lot of the launcher and new kind of title screen, they're showing off different things, so that's kind of interesting. But we need to go save ourselves from the Stalker by finding this reservoir. I feel if you've played the Warframe enough, you kind of know what the reservoir is already, but we still have to save it. Or at the very least, you may have a guess as to what the reservoir is. Especially if you've done enough on the plains of Eidolon.
We saved the moon from a void collapse, but Hunhao can now attack the reservoir directly. He must not reach this sacred place.
Shadow, bleed the reservoir until it is desert dry.
This will stop the voices from taking hold. You will have to dream, my angel.
Lotus, join with me. Destroy your shame. Become the one I love. Become Nata once more.
So shame on you! You Orican! So perfect on the outside, but you're rotted through and through!
7 hands raised. For your apostasy, the judgment is death. Margulis, why?
I'm kind of trying to kite around the sentient to let you hear all the different voice lines going down and kind of hear all the different things. Because they are quite important, but these sentients do a lot of damage if you stand and fight them, especially. They just do ridiculous amounts. Even their just basic melee attacks are enough to knock off almost an entire Rhino Iron Skin. And that attack there, the spinning like tornado, if you stand in it for even a couple seconds, you'll be dead. He can very quickly kill Taxon, as I saw previously. The laser attack pretty much instantly obliterated him previously. So it's definitely not... You definitely don't want to underestimate sentience in any way. Though that's not to say sentients are invincible in any shape. They're just kind of annoying to kill.
Sentient fighters can adapt to your attacks. Hit them with something else.
Typically when the Lotus states something as that, you'd want to switch weapons because that means that they've adapted completely to your attack. Honestly, I'd almost be remiss to just avoid fighting these sentients and just kind of avoiding them, which is what I actually think I'm going to do. Taxon's already dead. Very little reason to continue trying to fight them. You can see that they're tough, very tough. So let's avoid them. There will be other sentients in the future, but hopefully we'll have the weapons we need to deal with that soon enough. Standard weaponry, of course, is just wholly ineffective once their resistances go up. It's very interesting to see all of this all of the Orican structures and all the different things around here.
It's
very
about
clear.
the other reject we consigned to Lua a few years ago. They're calling it transference.
Those sentients are quick as well, and they will follow you pretty much endlessly, so just be aware of that.
I know we are desperate, Executor, but these aren't Dax soldiers. These are golems possessed by devil minds.
And that kind of gives us a little bit of insight into Warframe as a whole, and kind of what our goal here is with the reservoir. Oh, I think I've gone the wrong way. Do I need to go down? Yes, I need to go down. That room there, the one with the large spinning globe, I quite like that room. It's very cool to look at. But don't have time to stop and look at it because sentients are chasing us. And here we are. The reservoir. I figured there'd be somebody talking here, but I guess there's not really. It is kind of interesting to hear just the music and everything here. So I'm just going to shut up.
Dream. Not of what you are, but of what you want to be.
You hesitate, Shadow, but remember your despair. This is your only chance to make it end. Your hatred is too weak, Shadow. Mine is strong. My fragments will finish this.
Not if we have anything to say about it. It's time to wake up from this dream.
Tenno. Operator. You're awake now, but you're more vulnerable than ever. Get back to your ship, now.
It should be noted that in this form, we do have the ability to attack still. If you
need to focus your mind to unleash your true power.
As the Lotus stated, and our mind is strong. Sentients are pretty much the weakest thing to our abilities, because our abilities harness the power of the void itself. And we'll just annihilate all of them. But we do have to make sure to be aware, because they are still very strong enemies. Thankfully, a Rhino can survive at least one hit. Make sure to pick up the cores from the Sentients before they do what just happened there. And your attack does have a charge time, so just be aware of that as well. It will take time to recharge it. So don't think that you can just go willy-nilly with it, kind of use it as a burst. As if you're caught in front of a sentient without your beam there, it's kind of ineffectual. Effectively, this kind of quest states and iterates that we are the operator. Warframes are nothing more than at least from what we can tell, controlled golems. And all they were to us was a dream that we were living. But this reiterates why so many individuals were telling us that we didn't remember, because we didn't. We didn't remember what we were. But now we do. Let's get out of here. Overall, the first time you deal with that little segment there, you may get killed because the Syndiants just do ridiculous amounts of damage. Just as I stated, note that your beam does ridiculous amounts of damage.
I don't know how much time you have. Descend into the heart of your orbiter. There you will find the somatic link.
And so we wondered what these doors were for in the past. The first time you complete the second dream, you learn. These doors are useful to you.
Stalker! How? Get past him. Get to the link.
Don't worry about getting past him. You can destroy his beams effectively with your beam, so that is something to note. Just note that you do still have that recharge, so as you get closer that may become more difficult.
Use your energy to breathe life into the somatic link.
And we will do such. I believe we have to do this a total of 2 times or 3 times.
Again, it needs more power.
Those attacks will push you back, though they don't really do much damage, thankfully, unlike his actual stalker attacks. Alright, come on, get up there. There we go. Get it in there. Oh, the stalker beat us.
One more time.
Stop them, Shadow. Do not let the child's power rejoin the sky.
Come on, come on.
Focus.
There we go.
No self, no sense, no death. Just a metal puppet dangling on Tenno strings. Only the Tenno's death will end your despair. All your dread-long life, you've waited for this moment. But you're asking yourself, was I one of these wretched things? You know the answer. You still hate them. You still hate yourself. What is this? Shadow.
Now we fight on 2 fronts, my child. The war without, and the war within.
And so, we can create our character. Effectively, once you get to this point, you can kind of go through, do everything you kind of want, customize how you want. There's lots of cool customization options for operators nowadays. That whole sequence there, I couldn't really tell you exactly what happened with Rhino and how he was able to, or your Warframe, whatever Warframe you chose to take for this mission, and how they were able to break the Stalker Sword. Aside from some things that may be alluded to in the future, but I don't believe that our operator was controlling them there. Not 100% anyway. So yeah, let's see. Who do I want to be? Want to be this person? Yeah, let's go with this person. Oh, did I not select that face? I want to go equip. Sure, we'll go with that. Skin color. I'm pasty. I might as well be pasty in here as well. That one works. Why not? Lip color. I don't think I have anything light enough. Actually, I kind of do. Thanks to the Valentines. I kind of want a red. Not extremely bright red, though. That one will do. Accent. Oh, we could have eyeshadow. I forgot that you can do eyeshadow. Let's just make it black, just because. Hairstyle. So you have your basic hairstyles. I'm trying to rush through this. There was a lot added in the recent updates, so there's just so many different customization options for your operator now. I'm just going to go with this one. Let's have a part on the left. Hair color, we'll go with the black-brown hair highlight. Let's go with one of the reds, just because. Hair tips, I guess we'll go with brighter red. Sure, why not? Markings, criminies. I forgot how many different things there are. I would kind of like to rush through this, but I also kind of want to customize it to the way I like it. There we go. Equip that one. Primary color. We want to make that one kind of black as well. We want to make this one white. I want to make the metallic color gold. Okay, so eyes. We want those to be dark brown. Maybe we should make those a lighter brown, though. Let's see. Let's go with that one. That one's still kind of dark, but that works. What about here? Yeah, we'll go with that as well. Actually, inner. Let's go with the really dark one. And eye glow. Let's go to red. Oh, we want the better red, though, don't we? Heron. There's tons of different voice, or not tons of different voice options, but let's see.
My Warframe
Transferring
Female.
signal strong.
Male,
We will bring honor to the
female.
Tenno.
We will bring honor to the Tenno.
I'll just go with this one. That's the basic one that I went with in the past. There's lots of facial accessories, though you have to buy those. There's lots of ear accessories. Some of them you already get from the start. We'll go with those ones just because. Eye accessories. There's the glasses, might as well. Primary color, let's go with gold. Or do we want to go with black as the primary color? Let's go with black as the primary and gold as the secondary, because I think that color is better, yeah. So you do also have an entire customization option for your suit. I could go into all the different details there, but yeah, I don't really think there's too much to really worry about. We'll just keep the Zaraman outfit. You can close your hood if you don't want to see your kiddo's face. A lot of people will refer to the operator as the kiddo, so if you've been seeing a lot of people say that in the past, now you know kind of what it references. Let's not worry about anything like that. We'll go with black as our main color, white as our secondary, or do we want red as our secondary? Let's go with white as our secondary, and we'll go with the red as our tertiary. Suit energy, we want to make that the cyan that we had previously. Sigils, you can of course equip any sigils same way you could with your Warframe. Let's buy a Community of Tenno sigil. I kind of like the sigil on my operator just because it looks kind of cool. We want to get the alpha all the way up, all all the way that way, all the way that way. And we'll make it red. Just because we can. Alright, I think that's enough futzing around with that. I don't want to do this forever. Aside from our hair is kind of bright. Let's kind of darken that up just a smidge. There we go. I think that's better.
My child, so beautiful to behold. How do you feel?
I'm confused. I thought I was...
I know. Forgive me. This is who you really are, a Tenno. More than human, but once a child like any other. What do you remember?
Effectively, now that you've kind of unlocked these quests, there will be options to choose. We're just going to go with like the good choice every single time.
a jumble of words, numbers. I must have known everything about Tao. Our teacher loved when I corrected her.
Memories. From your time aboard the Zeramin 10-0, before the void jump accident. It was years before the ship was recovered. It was drifting, dead in space. All her crew gone, except the children.
I didn't want to live anymore. I felt guilty that I was alive, but we could do things. Extraordinary things. Maybe there was a reason we survived.
You were so brave, but the Orokin were afraid of you. The void had changed you, and you couldn't control it. No one could. They were about to destroy the orphans of 10-0, but Margulis, she loved you. She found a way.
With the kind of these dialogue trees, effectively, I stated previously, we'll go with the good choice. The morality choices will be introduced later on in this sort of thing. That's not a massive surprise to anybody. For now, it's what you choose doesn't truly matter. I'll start talking about it when it does. For now, you can just kind of pick whatever you like.
We couldn't help it. The outbursts. We hurt her, blinded her, but even then she never abandoned us. In the dream, we found peace, and she sang to us in that cold, dark.
The Orokin murdered Margulis, used her work to create transference. Your mind projected into a surrogate strong enough to withstand your power. It felt like waking up, but it was just a lucid second dream.
Let's go with this one.
Maybe we felt it. Maybe it didn't matter. We had life. We embraced it. I wanted to punish those who abused their power, and now I had a way.
And so you became Tenno, serving the Orokin, but bound by honor. As the Tenno grew, they founded great schools, the Tenno ways. Do you see yours?
So this is a moment where you do make a choice that does matter. Out of the 5 schools that you could choose, there are kind of a best school to choose out of the 5, which would be Zenarek. Zenarek tends to be the one that deals with energy and energy consumption. You could make the choice based on the blurb about the schools, but I will tell you that Zenarek is the one that most people will use, and you'll pretty much want to use as well at certain points. Zenarek is a school that allows you to generate energy with your operator for your Warframe, meaning that all the problems of energy generation are gone if you choose Zenarek. Another choice would be Inaru. It effectively makes you stronger survivability-wise, but it's not massively useful outside of that. It does kind of boost your survivability as an operator and a Warframe, but it also kind of slightly boosts your damage. The other 3, while somewhat useful, are very niche. They don't tend to get used that much, so for the time being, we're going to go with Zenarek.
I see a crystal, refracting the moonlight. The way of Zenrik. We believed the path to victory was to dominate the enemy. That strength of spirit could overcome any resistance.
Zenuric will be your focus. But we have so much more to do. Here in the Orbiter, transference will be even stronger. Command the Warframes. Make whole this shattered world you've been given. Are you ready, Tenno?
And I think we're done here.
Yes, Lotus, I am.
And that completes the second dream, I believe. So, going through this the first time, it's definitely very interesting to see the big twist. I've definitely alluded to it, but I've tried to avoid stating anything directly about it. This episode will be a little bit longer just because we wanted to get through that. There's lots of things to do there. But now we're kind of done.
Operator, messages have arrived in your inbox.
So Ordis decided to send us a little message here. At completing the second dream, Ordis sends us this message. You can read that and pause that so you can read it as you need to. It also sends us he also sends us the Broken War and the Scar Sigil. And now you can kind of understand why Nora Knight refers to us as dreamers, and why anyone else would have referred to us as dreamers. The Broken War is a melee weapon. It was effectively the sword that your Warframe broke at the time. I'll customize that later, but as you can see, it's a very good sword, doing 72 damage on slash, 9 on impact, 9 on puncture. Very well balanced. It's one that I definitely wouldn't underestimate by any means. But now this door is open to us, and we can come see our operator whenever we choose. You can, of course, access your focus screen from here. Your focus screen shows all the different things you can unlock. I don't know if we have the ways to unlock these effectively at this time.
All systems nominal. You don't need to think.
I just realized the focus screen is kind of out of the bottom here. I'll have to fix that afterwards. But these are the major schools, and the main reason why I told you to choose Zenrik as because the other ones will be locked to you until you can gather enough focus, which is a resource that you can gather similarly to affinity or experience for your weapons. And this one's the easiest one to unlock. It grants you, first of all, energy pulse, which you can see is quite good, and then you'll want to get energizing dash, which is also very good. And these two together are the major things that you'll want from the Zenrik school. Both of which are fantastic, and you'll see lots of people using all the time. You can also recustomize your appearance whenever you so choose, but that's kind of up to you. For now, we're going to focus on upgrading our stuff and moving forward with the story the rest of the way, because we're definitely not done yet. That is just kind of like the first major step. I will show the benefit of unlocking your operator in a mission next time. But considering we've gone so long as is, for now I will call this the end and say goodbye.